Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is your man Testament. Just want to say thank you guys for tuning in to the Umbron house. So today we're going to be going over the General Carnage mill deck that I actually ran at the first tournament that I ever competed in. If you guys ever seen Testament's Tournament Blues, you'll know what I'm talking about. That deck felt like it was cursed to lose because of the time rolls, but digitally this deck actually does really awesome. It's actually a really great deck, and if you guys can see here, you'll recognize these sleeves. Oh my gosh, the bane of my existence. Actually really distracted me during the tournament, and it was discouraging after I lost. But anyways, let's get started. Our hero is General Carnage, and he is a multi-order hero. He is Dread as the actual most common elements that he has access to, and he has a superior in mechanical. And so his ability reads: deal 2 damage to yourself, search through your deck for an item card. After shuffling, place that item card on the top of the deck. He has 31 health as well, and his ability, I actually really don't use it that often. It's kind of funny, people are like, why would you play him? You know what I mean? If you're not going to use that ability. But I actually just play him just because the elements that he has access to, and because he's an Umbron, of course. So there's only like maybe one time that I'll actually use this ability, and it's just to get the actual water healing item card out of the deck if I actually have water elements in the beginning of the game. So there's nothing more to it. That's the actual hero that we're running. And so right into the combos, we have Shroud of Night. Shroud of Night reads: you can't be attacked, increase damage and healing done by shadow cards by 2. It's 3 rotations, and it requires 2 shadow cards and 1 poison card to actually, as the cost. This card is used to pull off the OTK element in this deck, although I actually don't get that off that often. But you can I also run this just to stop aggro decks, to also get a little extra healing off of my Dreadlings, and to also use Rubble Scavenger, to also get more discarding off of my opponent's deck. And to pay for this, I use Obfuscation. So Obfuscation, I don't actually cement down any buffs. I actually use this just to pay for Shroud of Night. But if you want to know what it does, it says this buff and 2 buffs to its left cannot be removed or returned by heroes. So it cements them down. And for those of you that don't know, you can get around this by just dormanting the buff with Mari Bard or with Stasis Drone, anything that just dormants a buff. But I mean, this doesn't actually get played in the deck. It's just used for combo payment. And then for our tech combo cards, we run Empowered Implant, which cost 1 explosive and 1 mechanical. And on the first rotation, you deal 3 damage to yourself, but on the second one, it has an attack ability, deal 15 damage. And this card is what causes the OTK element, along with Shroud of Night. So the play is, I'll put down Gurgling Ooze first, and hopefully they don't remove that. After that, I'll play Shroud of Night. And so they can't buff, they can't attack. So they can't put anything that'll reduce the damage. Even if they're at 35, like this will end up swinging for 35. And then you play Empowered Implant, and by the time Empowered Implant rotates, Shroud of Night will be on its last rotation, and then you can play Dust Town Assassin. It's increased by 2, so that deals 5. You trigger this for 15, and then you can actually activate this ability manually and deal another 15 and swing for 35. Which is pretty freaking crazy, but it actually doesn't always, I don't always get to pull it off. But it's still a really cool element if you do end up getting the setup in your hand and people just don't expect it, especially just because you're playing Gurgling Ooze, they're going to be waiting to remove other buffs. So that's a pretty cool element. And I also play this because it helps to pay for these other combo cards. Our next combo card is Piston Punch, and it deals 8 damage. Discard the top 2 cards from the recipient's deck. And it takes 2 explosive cards and one mechanical card, and it's an attack card as well. And what I like about it is that it doesn't have burn, so I can recycle this back into my deck and keep milling the opponent's deck over again with this combo. Especially because of the combo payments. I mean, almost all my combos can pay for this card for the most part. With Empowered Implant, I'll end up using Empowered Implant to pay for this, along with maybe a Crazed Bomber or something. And then lastly, we run Blast Shield. Which it says corner 1, deal damage to your target, which is 7, and then corners 2 and 3, reduce damage received by 5. And so this card really, I don't really play it that often because most of the time it'll just get removed. I use it to pay for Piston Punch, and then sometimes towards the end of the game, when your opponent's decked out and they're still trying to hit for damage, and you probably already aggroed all their buff removal, I end up playing this and just being able to reduce damage again for those last 2 turns. If I have Rubble Scavengers, trying to just get those off as well, and you'll see what those are and why they need to be used when you have combo buffs on the field. So that's it for the combos. And what's crazy about this deck is that most of the damage that this deck does is only from combos. So that's why it really screwed me over with the time rule, because once it got down to that time rule where it says the first life change wins and I'm at 35, there's really nothing I can do to deal damage to them. So as soon as they even hit me for 1, it's like I lost. So now we go to our item cards. So maybe I might get some flack for this, but I run 1 blasting cannon, and I run the superior explosive element just because of the fact that I don't want to get this card removed at all. I don't want Battleborn Oppressor to remove it, and I know that Mountain has that what's it called, that combo card that removes one item card from your that's equipped or whatever, and I'm also equipped for that, but I'd rather this be the target than any of these. And Tier Brini is honestly, to me, it's like the item card that pieces everything together. It's a water element, it's not superior, and it says defend ability, remove one of your buffs to heal for 3. And so this really helps so much. I run 2 in here because in my head I'm like, why am I going to run a Tantosian Blacksmith when, first of all, General Carnage's ability is to get the item card, but second of all, it's like I'd rather just have another one so I can just play it right away. I'll use an action so that way I'm also reserving how many cards I'm taking out of my deck so I can play the long game and outlast my opponent. And yeah, I just like the idea of being able to draw this. I'd rather draw this than draw a Tantosian Blacksmith for this deck anyways. So that's just kind of like my 2 cents on it. And there's a lot of buffs that we're gonna see in here that we're gonna want to remove before they deal damage to ourselves. And also, like when you remove these buffs too, it's like the amount of healing that you're getting is just so explosive. So when I played this in the tournament, this actually didn't get popped that often, and if it did, again, I had the other one right in hand, so it didn't even matter. And also, like, this card is just it's not really a card. When people see it, they don't aggro the item removal, because it's very simple. Remove one of my own buffs to heal for 3, and people don't really think much of it. But then by the time that they realize what you're doing with the deck, especially because General Carnage is just has been known to be also like a hero that uses a lot of aggressive type of builds and stuff. By the time they realize what you're doing, it's like you've already milled out most of their deck, and then they would have wanted to remove it, and it's like it don't even matter at that point. So I run, those are the item cards that I run, and again, that's just my build. If you guys would want to change something out with how many copies of those cards you run, I mean, by all means. So now for the mechanical cards, so I run 1 emergency system. Since it's a classic card, I can only run 1, and it says 7 healing next time you get attacked. So very standard. This comes up. This triggers before the actual damage that you receive. So as soon as they play an attack card, I heal for 7, and then they deal whatever damage, and yeah, just pretty standard. And it's a buff. And it's a buff that doesn't have rotation, so it just stays there until they trigger or remove it with Thunderslug. Next, I run 3 Tyrax Fixers in here. And Tyrax Fixer is an amazing card. It says 4 healing, increase this by 3 if your health is less than 15, and it's a defend card. And because of the shadow cards in this deck, I can recycle these back to my hand, and you do that so much in this deck. The amount of healing is just so obnoxious, and people see you play these 3 and they think your healing's done, and that's it. And what they don't know is that with the other Necrophants that you run in the deck, it's like you at times throughout the entire match. And by that time, it's like they've already used a lot of their resources that deal damage to try to get you down so fast, but you're burst healing so much that it's like they're slowing down their card draw. It's allowing you now to keep repacing the match as well. And, they just lose a lot of their resources, and then they just can't, KO you, and you outmill them. So it's pretty sweet. And I wouldn't lower this by any means. Keeping it at 3 to me is is, you know, it's like the lifeblood of the deck. You need this card in the deck in order for it to just have that explosive lasting power that it has. Alright, so next I run 2 repair bots. This card reads just receive healing on rotation, and so it has 4 corners, 1 healing, 1 healing, 1 healing, and then you heal for 5. And what's really cool is with Tear of Brini, on that turn that you heal for 5, you can remove it as well. It has no more further value, and you heal for 3 again. So you're essentially healing for 8 that one turn with 1 action. I mean, if this card gets removed, we can also recycle it back in the deck with the Necro Dreadlings as well, and because Necro Dreadling heals me as well, it's like it don't even matter. So I run 2 of these. I would consider running these maybe to 3, but the only issue that I find is that, again, these do aggro buff removal, so it's like you don't want to, if you need that burst healing, I'd rather have a Tyrax Fixer in emergency rather than having, you know, an extra one of these that give me more healing in the long run, but also, you know, aggro buff removal, and then I don't get that you know, that value out of the card. So alright, and then next we have 2 Unstable Scavenger. Now some people have mixed feelings about this just because of how it deals 5 damage to yourself at the 4th rotation. But again, we run Tear of Brini, so it's like, you know, it doesn't matter. What we're going to do is we're going to play this card. If you have Dust Town Assassin, you can trigger it right away that same turn or wait the next turn. Typically, I mean, if people remove this, it's like, then who cares? Like, there's so many other cards in my deck that I would rather play than this card out. And also it draws me 3, and because I'm trying to last and trying to keep my deck filled with cards, it's like, you know, if they remove it, then I don't care. Then it's like I aggroed your buff removal, so now my other more important buffs will last, and you know, whatever, I didn't get the effect. But if you do, it says defendability, draw 3 cards, and then it rotates, and then it says corners 2 and 3 reduce damage received by rotation, on corner 4 take damage. Now this card is a very good card for timing, like the damage reduction. So like a lot of the times I'll play this card, I won't even really care to get the draw off of this. But like if someone starts setting up their buffs on the field and they're ready to, you know, the swing, I'll activate it and it'll rotate and it'll start to reduce damage. And what's cool is that it's pretty much at my leisure when I want to, you know, choose to take that setup. And it's, you know, it's not like you know, Ramparts where it's going to rotate out, you know, regardless, no matter what, as soon as I play it. This, I can choose when I want to actually get the damage reducing effects. And then by the time it gets to this, like when it's your turn again, when it gets to this rotation, you just remove it and you heal yourself for 3. You saved yourself all the damage that you would have taken, and yeah. So I mean, again, I would not run this card if you don't have, like, I wouldn't play this card right off the bat and hope to draw into Tear of Brini. I feel like that's probably not the way you want to play this card. Again, you have General Carnage's ability to get you Tear of Brini right off the bat first, so I wouldn't play this to draw into it, even though we run 2. Again, you want to have Tear of Brini when you play this card and get the ability off, so that way you can remove it and not, you know, deal yourself 5 damage, and also get the 3 healing as well. And then lastly, I believe these are the last 2 mechanical cards. We run Ramparts, 2 of them. And it says reduce damage received by rotation, deal 1 damage to the attacker if you get attacked. And so Ramparts, I wouldn't run, I don't think I would run to 3. Unstable Scavenger, again, it does reduce damage, but I like the fact that I can time it when I want to actually get that reducing damage part of the effect. I also like the draw ability when I do need it. And this is a better target for me to remove with Tear of Brini than me wanting to. I don't like removing Ramparts with Tear of Brini because there's no consequence to me letting it fully rotate out. So I don't know. I would debate increasing this to 3, or, you know, I wouldn't lessen it, you know, to 1 or anything. I would leave it right at 2. But that's up to you guys. And then next we get into our water cards. So the first 2 water cards I run are Vitalizing Frog. This I would debate on running to 3. It says 6 healing, and it's a defend card. Very straightforward, but what's really cool is that it doesn't have burn. So you run Necrophant, you can get this back and another Tyrax Fixer and continue just healing yourself for insane amounts of damage. I mean, insane amounts of healing. And that's pretty much it. Just 2 of the Vitalizing Frog. And again, I would consider running this to 3, or maybe just doing a Confused Shaman as well, the classic one, not the one that's eroded in the digital app. But yeah. And then for our other water cards, we run 2 Safety Crab. Now, Safety Crab, to me, is actually like an MVP in the deck. And it doesn't seem like it does much. You know, healing on rotation and draw that many cards. So 2 healing, draw 2 cards. But what I love about it is that when I use Tyrax Brini on this card as well, it's like I'm healing for 5 that turn. I'm getting 2 cards as well. And, you know, this card really just helps to keep the tempo of the deck. And it doesn't really aggro buff removal that much. Like, I'm very surprised when people actually try to remove this with buff removal, just because there's nothing really crazy about it, you know. And that's what's so deceptive about it, is that it's just very simple. I did have some people do it at the tournament, and it was actually Jessica who did it, and the times that she did do it, it really screwed me over. And yeah, so I don't know, I would consider running these to 3, although I like having the burst healing in some of the other water cards and mechanical cards that I have as well. So, yeah, things to consider. And now for the explosive cards. So as you guys saw, I do run the explosive superior item. I run 2 Crazed Bomber, and I'll probably side a 3rd, I'm not sure. Probably would have one just in the side, and it's really simple. Burn, remove 3 buffs, remove 2 action buffs from yourself, and again, you probably want to time this with, what's that card? With Unstable Scavenger. If you don't have Tyrax Brini, but you really needed that draw power, activate Unstable Scavenger, wait that 1 turn, and then play this. If your opponent has buffs that you need to remove, you know, eliminate the chance for you to take 5 damage, and yeah. So pretty standard, and this deck runs a lot of buff removal. I mean, probably some of the most buff removal that I've seen in the deck. Besides, there's a lot of Bloodroot decks that run insane buff removal as well. Sweet. The other 2 explosive cards that I run are Rubble Scavenger. Now this card is also a freaking awesome MVP card of the deck. It's explosive and it has a burn, which that sucks. I wish it didn't have burn, but again, it would probably be really broken if it didn't. It says can only be played if you have a combo buff in play. Discard the top 2 cards from another hero's deck. Move 1 discarded attack action card to your hand. So again, this is what you play when you have Shroud of Night out, or if you have the other explosive combo buffs, you know, that reduce damage, that other one that we had in there. The attack action card, I only run 1 that's actually retrievable from the discard pile, because all the other ones that I have burn on them, and that's a Dusttown Assassin, which doesn't really help me that much. When I side, I'd probably side in like maybe Umbron Thief or maybe Battleborn Oppressor as well, especially if you're playing a deck that runs a lot of items. You can just use this, recycle Battleborn Oppressor, remove their item, recycle Battleborn Oppressor, remove their item. So, I mean, that really helps a ton with doing that type of a play. And just being able to just, you know, mill 4 cards from the top of your opponent's deck is pretty sweet, especially because it's a 30 card, 35 card, you know, deck. And you know, by the time that you're doing this, they probably don't have much left in their deck anyways. And I actually like it when they freaking try to pay their combos with their item cards, like their action cards, instead of paying for it with other combos, because then it's like I'm able to actually mill those cards that they put back into their deck with this. So I don't know, that seems to actually help a lot with just being able to eliminate the options that the opponent has once you get to that state in the game. And now for shadow cards, we have 3 shadow puppets. I've never really run into a situation where not having 3, you know, or having 3 was too much, honestly, because of how much healing it has in the deck. Like, I don't really care too much that I have so much buff removal. And again, I can always side the other healing cards as well if I feel like, you know, the other deck that I'm playing is way too aggro. But with this, it's very standard. It just says remove 2 buffs. And I put 3 in here because it is General Carnage's native element, which is Shadow. Like, it's just built into his hero, as opposed to running 3 Crazed Bombers, which are dependent on the item. So this is just more consistent as well. And then I run 1 Necro Dreadling. I would debate running that to 2, maybe removing a Shadow Puppet for a Necro Dreadling. It says 2 healing, move up to 3 action cards from your discard pile to your deck. Combo with Shroud of Night, you increase that to 4 healing, which is pretty sweet. And this card is really great for getting back your item cards. I also put, the repair bots back into the deck, as well as Ramparts. Those are the main targets for this card. So yeah, not much to say about that. And then these are another MVP of the deck, Necrophile. So this card says burn, move 2 discarded defend action cards to your hand, discard one card. So again, if you don't need that buff removal because your opponent is playing a very aggro heavy deck, it's like, then why not just discard it? You know what I mean? Especially if you've already seen a lot of their combo buffs or know what they have. You know, and a lot of it's more just attack based stuff. You know, it doesn't hurt to remove that. There's also other cards to pitch, like Unstable Scavengers if you never ended up using them. What's it called? Safety Crab as well is a good card to pitch too. And just again, you're removing 2 discarded defend action cards. So that means 1 Vitalizing Frog or 1 Tyrax Fixer as well. And this really comes into a pinch. Like, this really helps a ton. This is a card that I probably would, you know, I might consider running to 3 as well. I definitely wouldn't lower it. This thing freaking helps a ton. Like, you want this card in your deck for sure, especially for how the deck plays. And then the last 2 shadow cards are Spirit Gate and Dusttown Assassin. So Spirit Gate reads, move 2 discarded combo cards to your deck, draw 1 card. So normally I would use Piston Punch, you know, to mill two cards from the top of their deck. I'd also, you know, use Shroud of Night. Those are the 2 cards that I would play pretty early in the match. And then I would use Spirit Gate to move them back to my, you know, deck and draw 1 card as well. And then, you know, also being able to reuse Piston Punch again to mill another 2 cards, deal that damage. So yeah, so this does help a lot, especially with surviving towards the end game, like when, you know, when it gets to that deck out point, because then at that point, if I have the cost for some of those combos in action cards, now I can, you know, redecide how I'm going to play those combos, how I'm going to pay for them, and start to send action cards back to my deck instead. Unlike where early game, I'm going to be using combo cards to pay for combo cards. So that way I have a lot of the utility from my actual action cards in my hand. So that's Spirit Gate, and then Dusttown Assassin, which it says trigger 1 of your abilities, conditionally rotating buffs with abilities still rotate if applicable. This is used to get Empowering Implant off twice. So I'll end up, you know, using Empowering Implant, deal 15 damage, and then I'll end up using Dusttown Assassin to deal another 15 plus a 3. And typically with Shroud of Night, that's 35. So if you already had the Gurgling Ooze set up, which that's another card that I forgot to mention. I don't actually have it in this deck right now. There's one actual action card that's missing right now, and that's actually Gurgling Ooze. And Gurgling Ooze, you know, that says, you know, your opponent can't buff or whatever, and that's the actual play. So I'm actually going to show you guys a little demo of an actual casual match of me actually running this deck, just so you guys can actually see the pace and the play of this deck. Okay, everyone, so we're going to try to enter into a casual match. GC Water Heal, General Carnage, and yeah, hopefully I should get something good. I'm hoping it's not like some really basic, you know, structure deck or something like that. Just like to show you guys the healing power of the deck. Oh, perfect, sweet, General Halberd. Okie dokie. So this is actually a really good matchup, just to show you guys actually what this deck is capable of doing in regards to just, you know, lasting. Gotta be polite. Gotta say hello. Let's see. So the Spectral Guide. The Spectral Guide, honestly, that's not really a target for removal. I actually love it when other people just want to draw a ton in their deck, especially when you're playing General Carnage. You want them to blow through their deck as fast as they can because you're just trying to outlast them. So I'm going to leave that there and just draw 2 and stuff. Moonlight Burrower. Again, nothing crazy. He's just going to be blowing through a lot of his action cards. And yeah, drawing 2, sweet, totally okay for me. Alrighty, let's see. So again, he hasn't really presented anything that's really threatening. Looks like he's just trying to build his resources at this point. So let's see. Oh, there it goes. So the Bombling. So I don't ever want Bombling to go off ever. I really don't care. So I'm gonna remove it with Shadow Puppet. And it does get that gravity, but I mean, don't really care, especially with how much his deck can heal. I'll just draw 1. So normally, like a good hand would be like starting with any of the safety crabs. That would be great, even though you don't have the water right away. I mean, General Carnage's ability then would be worth using at the beginning, but to me, I really don't like using it right off the bat. So yeah, just draw 2, and now we got what's it called? We have the Scavenger here now, the Unstable Scavenger, and that's actually going to be really beneficial just to continue to draw our resources. And also I like it because I'll be able to at least pay some of the damage that he's about to deal, you know, at my disposal, you know, because it's a clunky buff, so I can leave it there. Ouch. Alright, now we're going to get hit with the 6. Got hit with the 6, so dang it. Alright, now I'm at 21, so yeah, Stable Scavenger. And I don't want to play another buff. I don't want to play the Repair Bot because I don't want him to get the most value for moving 2. So I'm just going to leave that there, and we'll see actually what he ends up doing at this point. Just drawing 2. Sweet. Nice. So, if anything, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to use his ability. At this point now, I actually want to get the tier of Brini because I don't want to start the Unstable Scavenger and then not be able to remove it, you know, so that way I don't have to eat the 5 damage. Let's see. So, Spectre Guide, okay, great, cool. Just kind of pacing it out, I guess, for some reason. Tantosian Blacksmith. Skyrider, okay, great. Oh, this is like the Nuan build. Sheesh. Oh, man, okay, great. Oh, yeah. I mean, but it's a really great matchup to show what this deck can do. So I'm at 13. That's actually a magic number, you know, 14 and below. All right, and now that we healed for 7 and back up to 20, I'm actually gonna play Tier of Brini instead because I actually need this equipped so that way when I do activate Unstable Scavenger, I can remove it so that way I don't eat the 5. So we just want to see what he does at this point. Wow, he's really just trying to build his resources. Unless he really just doesn't have anything either. So, Umbron Thief 4. Guess he figures he'll always be at higher health than me for the most part. So now we're going to go ahead and activate Unstable Scavenger. Draw 3, go into a Ramparts, Necrophant, and Crazed Bomber. Yikes. Unfortunately, I don't have the Explosive Element equipped for Crazed Bomber. And obviously I can't use his ability to go ahead and grab it next turn because if I do, then I won't be able to remove this with Tier of Brini as well. And then I'll end up eating 5, which is not worth getting the explosive card. And typically it's like I like to draw into these cards instead of actually trying to use his ability for the most part, unless I believe I have a hand that will really benefit from having them. And almost like 90% of the time, I'll never end up getting the explosive card, you know, with his ability. I'll end up wanting to use his actual hero ability to get Tier of Brini instead. So now we're going to remove Unstable Scavenger, heal for 3. So now I'm back up to 19. And then we're actually going to go and play the Ramparts just to make sure that I do slow down any aggro that he actually has accumulated in his hand. You know, just to kind of like, I guess, aggro the buff removal, also just to tempo, like slow down the pace of the actual offense that he's going to start playing. So there we go. So he used Crazed Bomber. He's ready to just release everything he's got. So fortunately, I don't have the freaking explosive card, so now I can't remove that. So I'm gonna actually have to freaking eat it. So I'll play a Repair Bot. Maybe that'll actually aggro another Crazed Bomber, which is okay. I mean he'll still get the 6 damage off of the Bombling, but it'll help me now to at least play these cards later in the game, so that way they don't get removed and I get that guaranteed healing. I mean, he could be running Pathfinders as well, but I feel like that wouldn't be that advantageous either. Dang, so now we're down to 9. Yikes. Oh man. And the Umbron Barkeep, wow, interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, we are down to 9, but the thing is, I mean, this deck can just heal so much. So now we're gonna go ahead and hit the Tyrax Fixer. And if anything, let's see. Let's actually, yeah, okay. Let's just draw for 1. I do have the Vitalizing Frog again, and I have the Necrophants, which can actually go ahead and pull back some of those defend cards too if he wants to really start playing. Dang, he only got the 2 damage off of that too. That sucks. There was only a couple times I believe that Nuan ended up getting that. I think he got it twice actually in one game where he only drew. He drew another anti-bubble snail, whatever, and Only got 2 damage off of it. Dang, another Umbron Thief. I wonder if he was anticipating playing another aggro build. So I'm back up to 12. Let's see. So we have 2 Tyrax Fixers. So okay, well we're just gonna hit with the last Tyrax Fixer. Hopefully, let's see if this guy does remove this what do you call it, repair bot. And we're gonna put the Necrophont just to get back a couple of these, just to make sure that if he does start hitting for aggro like crazy, we can just continue to just bail ourselves out of it. And we need to pitch a card, so we're gonna pitch this Talon Assassin, just because of the fact that we have no abilities that we really want to trigger. We don't want to trigger Tear of Brini really with that. We can just use an action by activating it manually and saving ourselves a card, trying to slow down us, decreasing our deck count. Crazed Bomber. Come on, man. Dang it, okay. Well, one can only hope for so much. Sheesh. Alrighty, so again, I mean, that's why we ended up playing the Necrophont too, just in case he did end up getting rid of that. That would have been 8 healing, which, I mean, that would have been nice. Oh, nice. So we ended up drawing another one. Yes, sweet. And he has, I think, 2 of his Crazed Bombers in there already. So, I mean, if he runs a third, I mean, I guess we run the risk of losing that, but then that means a lot of my other combos and buffs can actually, play out. So, here he goes. Tyrax Mercenary for 5. We're down to 16. And then, let's see, just going to draw 1. Man, I'm really surprised. I would think he would actually just start, like, clobbering, but I think he kind of wants an indefinite KO. I think he knows what's happening. Like, we're just healing like crazy. I think he wants to try to at least keep it down and pace it over time and us be able to, us not be able to just catch up with the amount of damage he's dealing, but little does he know. Oh, and he's using the Skyrider, actually. Interesting. So he's discarding a card, which actually benefits us. I mean, honestly, like that's what this deck loves. You're gonna mill your own stuff, and just keep trying to, draw all your resources. Great, just keep doing that, and I'll just keep on using my abilities and healing like crazy. There we go, another 7, and we're back up to 17 again, which is a safe zone in my opinion for this matchup. And again, it's you want to judge that based off of the matchup. If you know somebody's playing Sky Vandal or whatever, you're not gonna want to just stay at 17 and think you're safe. That card, that hero or deck can actually swing for like 33. So I mean, that would be a different matchup, and you have to play against that differently. There we go. We get the 1 healing, back to 18. Just gonna draw 2 because at this point I just want to see if he's gonna try to remove it again, and I don't want to waste my resources just trying to heal for minimal. You want to get the maximum value out of your healing cards. So, yikes. That kind of makes me a little nervous. So, there goes the combo buff. Now we're down to 13. I mean, we are going to heal for 5, so that brings us up to 18. We're going to tier Brini, this repair bot, which brings us now back up to 21. So you guys can see, like, the amount of healing this deck just continues to generate is insane. It's just monstrous. So that brings us back down. Brings us back down to 17. I'm going to try to play the Ramparts and hopefully be able to get that thing going. Yikes. So Skyrider just to keep the tempo going. Oh, and he added that to his... yeah, I didn't even realize that the combo card can go under him as well. Oh, that's pretty neat, actually. I really like that. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we're at 13. Well, there goes the Ramparts, and I'm going to do the Tyrax Fixer because of the fact that now that he has 6, it's going to pop off for 6, his combo buff, and if he had freaking Overwhelming Blast, that's going to end up hitting for 14 as well, so we want to make sure that we'll be able to at least recover from that. So we're probably going to end up having to Necrophont next turn and just try to keep everything really high above. We want to try to outpace him and stay out of that KO zone. So there he goes, just drop for 2. Okie dokie. So now we're going to use this ability. At this point, I don't take any damage. I really need to get that, what's it called? That explosive item card, Blasting Cannon. And You know, if anything, let's see. So I'm not really sure if I'm gonna draw. So yeah, I'm gonna heal for 6, just because of the fact that I really don't want him to swing really hard before I get that card. I don't want to play Necrophant because then that'll end up shuffling my deck, and I have the item card at the top of my deck right now, so I want to try to at least draw into that, and I'm hoping that he doesn't actually do anything right now, so that way at least gives me one more chance to draw into it, and then I'll be able to continue to playing it out from there on out. I mean, we have like Piston Punch and all these combos, and so yeah, want to really be able to get this stuff to pop off. Especially like Rubble Scavenger, that really helps to just mill the other person's deck. Although, he's kind of been doing it for us just by drawing through his deck crazy fast, so... And he's gonna, man, he's gonna do the 4. It's gonna be reduced by 2, man. Alright. Sure. 17. You would think that he would kind of realize by now that all I'm doing is trying to outpace him, and, you know, maybe he would just try to hold on to those cards, but I mean... Yeah, whatever, alright. So I'm at 17 now. I think it's safe to. I think it's gonna be safe to play the. Actually. So if he hits for 14 with Umbron and Blast. Yikes. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm gonna play the safety crab. I think it's safe to say that I can do that, and there we go. So now we do got the blasting cannon, and at this point, if he does hit me with that, I still should be able to at least get back some of those defend cards and at least catch up after the Umbron and Blast, and then after that, I should still heal for 2, be able to remove that, heal for another 3, draw 2 cards, like be all set. This is going to be reduced by 2. Again, dang, he ran 3 of those Umbron Thieves. Yikes, there's probably a lot better cards, I would say. Maybe this isn't Nuan's build. Yikes, alright. And Scrapworks Boot. Man, okay, well. Yikes, hey man, if you're watching this video, sorry, I'm not trying to talk bad about you or nothing. There's probably a lot of better cards though that you could have put in there instead of the Umbron Thieves, because you run Explosive as your superior, so there we go. Play the Necrophant, get the 2 defend cards back. And I think it's okay to discard actually one of these combo cards because I'm not gonna get this card off anyways. So and at this point we're just gonna really try to mill him out now at this point. So it don't even matter. Not to mention if I really need it, I do have the Shadow card that does add 2 combo cards back to my deck. So not really a big deal. And so we're back up to 18 now. Kind of anticipating that freaking. What do you call it? Umbron Blast. Just hit me with it. There it is. Man, finally! Now we're down to 14. Yikes, it's a little scary. Okay. So let's see. What else does he got in here? So I'm not sure if he has another Bombling. Okay. So we're gonna. Oh man, wait. So Vitalizing Frog, heal for 6, but now we can't remove it, which kind of sucks. Dang it. Okay, so. Let's just use the Necro Dreadling and get back some of our healing and damage reduction, if anything. So we're going to do both of the repair bots and 1 Ramparts, if anything. Sweet. Well, we're back up to 14, so I don't think he has anything else that could swing for 14 in 1 turn. Even if he had more 6 damage dealing cards, which I don't think he did. I believe he had 3 Scrapworks Bruisers in the discard, so I think we still should be good at this point. Yeah. Oh man, there we go. The dude's decked out. Yikes! Oh crap. Umbron Marauder. So yeah, I mean, I think that was all of his Scrapworks Bruisers. Sweet. Okay, well, I mean, nope. Let's actually play the Safety Crab, and we're gonna go ahead and actually play the Gurgloons just in case he does have any Bomblings and stuff. I really don't want them to go off. So yeah. Let's see. Oh, I forgot. So he does have that. So he still actually could freaking deal enough damage to get us out. Yikes! Oh my gosh! Oh man! All right. So let's just remove Gurgling Ooze if anything, and heal for 3 just to be safe. We'll just draw 1. Oh, nice. So we're gonna repair bot. See, guys, I'm telling you, like, just the amount of freaking healing in this deck is just insane. And he hit us with a lot of cards. I mean, he let his old combo buff play out, and that combo buff, I think the value for it, what is it? 5, 4, 3, and 2. What is that? Like 14 or 15 or so. Yikes! Oh, Frenzy Cubo, great. Oh man. So, well, at least we'll be able to freaking heal for another 3. We'll be able to play Repair Bot as well. Oh, alright, sweet. The guy quit. We only had 3 health too. Sheesh. And there you go, guys. So, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And, you know, again, this is the deck that I ran at that first tournament. Because of the time rules, it just sucked. Like, as soon as I found that out, I'm like, man, I'm gonna lose. I won almost every single match. I won like the first round, but it took 55 minutes because I was just surviving the whole entire game and milling them out. And then and I was also playing really slow. And so once that ended up happening, and then it came down to those 3-turn rules, whoever has the lowest health wins. Like, the deck can survive, but it doesn't, you know, guarantee to stay at 35. And so that would end up screwing me over as well. But again, this deck is crazy online, and I know everybody's hating Mill right now, but it's you know, it's an Umbron hero. It's what I played at my first tournament. I just want to share with you guys the misery that was my first tournament experience with this deck. Anyways, yeah, thank you guys for watching, and if you guys are new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. This is Testament checking out of the Umbron house. Take care, y'all.